Okay, so this is the next video of tutorial 2. So now we've just finished doing our shear walls. We put in 300mm thick shear walls and then changed them down to 175mm thickness. So next thing we're going to do is going to put some foundations, because obviously we need some foundations in the building, otherwise it's all going to sink. So first of all, we're going to look at the type of foundation. So we're going to go to structure, and then we're going to look at, there's a few different options. So we'll see over here there's a whole section for foundation. Is isolated foundation, wall foundation, and slab foundation. So isolated foundations, they're placed under columns. So we've got plenty of columns, so we'll be using those. The wall is basically a strip foundation, which then that's what we're going to use for our shear walls. And a slab is a slab foundation. So think of a ground bearing slab for a raft foundation. That's what these are for. So in this case, we're going to start off with the isolated foundation. So in this case, we're going to open up our top of foundation plan. We're going to select isolated. So basically we want to put some foundations on each one of these columns, otherwise they're going to go straight into the ground, which wouldn't be good engineering at all. So click on save project. Thank you for reminding me. Hopefully you're doing that yourselves as you're going along. So we've clicked on this. So just go back to structure, isolated foundation, and you should have this menu coming along the top here. So next thing we're going to do, we're going to edit the type, because we want to actually put in our own foundation type. So we click on edit type, and then we're going to go up to the load where the family is, like we did previously with the columns, and we're just going to go back out until we get to our foundations. So in UK folder, go down to, where are we going to go? There we go, structural foundations. Then we're going to go find a footing rectangular is what the one we're going to use. So this one here. So it's just a generic footing rectangular, and we're going to change it. So you're trying to load a family that's already exists in the project, would like to do it. That's perfectly fine. So what we could do now is that we are going to duplicate this. So we're going to change it. We're going to change the dimensions. We're going to rename it 275. So just check my notes. 2750 by 2750 by 600mm. So basically, this is going to be 2.75 meters by 2.75 meters, and it's going to be 600mm thick. So click OK. And then once we've got the rename, we just have to change these dimensions. So the thickness was going to be 600. So that's our thickness there. Our width is going to be 2750, and this is going to be 2750 as well. And again, we have a little diagram there what it's going to look like. So once you've put in those new dimensions, we're going to just click OK. So now we'll see that's what's going to be active. So now, again, we could go along and just click them all individually at the columns, which would do the job, but it would be slow work. So again, Revit knows that if you're going to have a isolated foundation, you're obviously going to put it at a column. So there is actually an option, like we saw actually when we were putting the columns in previously, where you could put them at the grids. There's actually an option here now for placing the foundations at the column. So once you have the command active, you'll see up along here, it says place at columns. So we're going to just give that a click. Now select all the columns and the green tick to complete. So what we need to do is we need to select all our columns. So again, similar to what we've done before. So we'll use our selection tool, and again we'll go from top left corner down to the bottom right corner. Just select them all like this. And you'll see that's kind of, they're grayed out there because it's asking us to finish. So in order to kind of confirm this is where we want them, we're going to click the green tick up the top here. Click finish, and now we see our columns have all gone in. So that was a lot easier than placing them individually, which is even like, if you had done these type of plans in AutoCAD, you may have had to do an array or copy them down. But for this case, because they're at kind of slightly different dimensions, it would have been very tricky to do. So the fact that we have an option just to put each individual column just makes our life a lot easier. Again, you may get a warning that your foundation is not visible in the current view. So again, if you go back to the tutorial earlier on, we were talking about the view range. So remember down here on the properties tab, you might have to kind of click onto edit here and just change your view range. So again, play around with them just to make sure that you can actually see you can see where the foundations are going to be or where the columns are going to be. So anyway, it worked fine here. Okay, so that is our isolated foundations. So the next thing we're going to do is going to do a wall foundation. So again, as you probably know from your engineering classes or your building technology classes, along walls we're going to use the strip foundation. So again, we're going to follow the previous place foundation steps, and then this time we're going to use the wall foundation. So we go to structure, we're going to click on wall. Same again, we're going to click on edit type, and we are going to choose a bearing footing. So we don't need to load it up. So we can just, in the drop down menu in the type, we're going to select bearing footing. And again, we don't want to write over this the default one, so we'll actually just make our new one. So we can just keep it called bearing footing, but we're just going to change the dimensions here to 1200 by 450 millimeters. Click OK. And then we've got our new name. So we'll just change our dimensions here. So again, it was 1200, 1.2 meters. And the thickness was going to be 450. Just click that, so no need to change anything else. So we just click OK. So now all we have to do is actually click on the walls along grid A and then the grid over here. So just basically click on the wall. No need to actually click any points, just literally on the wall itself. So when it goes blue, just select it and you'll see the foundation appears. And the command is still active, so all we do is go over here and click on our wall along this grid line and it'll appear. So that's a nice easy way to do our strip foundations. So you can press escape a couple of times just to get out of that. And then it's always good to check our 3D view now since we've got plenty of new foundations in here. Let's have a look. So hopefully yours looks something like this. We'll see all our individual isolated or padded foundations, and we'll see our strip foundationing along our shear walls. So again, if yours doesn't look like that, maybe just press undo a couple of times and go back and just redo those steps. But okay, so next thing we're going to do, we'll move on to our slabs. So we're going to look at a foundation slab. So we're going to go to our ground floor plan. And again, my computer is getting a little bit slow because I have so many things open. So I'm going to go to the View tab up along top here and just close our inactive windows because I'm only going to be working on the ground floor for the moment. So just to give my old laptop some breathing space. I'd hate for it to collapse in the middle of, or explode in the middle of this class, but okay. So we're going to open, we open our ground floor plan. So just double click on the ground floor plan here. Always double click on the text to make it active. And then under the structures tab, we're going to go to the foundations and we're going to click on slab. In the drop down menu, there's two different ones. There's slab edge or foundation slab. So we're going to click on the foundation slab. And it'll load up the default. And again, we're going to do the same thing again. We want to put in our own version of it. So we're going to go edit type. So we have we're going to go for, now in this case actually we're going to rename it to 150 millimeter foundation slab because I've already redone this exercise before. It's actually already in there, but we'll just redo it again just in case you guys don't have it. So we'll just click on duplicate. I'm just going to type it in 150 mil foundation slab. Once you got that typed in, just click OK. That's fine. So I already have it in use, so if you don't have it in use, you just make sure you can put it in. And then we're going to change the dimensions to 150. So if your dimensions aren't 150, you have to click into the edit. Then just click in here and just type in 150. Click OK. And then we are good to go. So then we just click OK here or apply, and then so once we have our 150 mil slab foundation active, we're going to click on the modify create boundary border. We're going to use the option here. So this is in the draw tab, the rectangle. So this means basically we can actually just draw a rectangle and actually place a foundation within that rectangle. So we're basically just going to go from the center line of the wall up here. So we'll just find the point here at the end of the wall. That's it. That's lining up with the grid line A, and go all the way down to the end of the wall down here. And then we can zoom out. And then once that's there, just zoom out, make sure you've got it. So it looks good. So we're just going to click the green tick to finish it. And that now has put a nice little wall or a nice floor slab in there. So if we go to our 3D view again, we'll have a look, and we can see now we've actually got a nice floor slab covering there. So floors are always handy in buildings, so it's very useful. So hopefully yours looks like this. If it doesn't look like this, just go back and repeat those steps again. But you know, it should be okay. So we're going to do the same thing now on the first and second floor. So now we're going to go to the first floor plan, double click on it, bring it up. And again, if your computer's going slow, you might want to close down a few windows. So now we will do the first and second floor, as I said. So now first thing we want to do, even though we put in our nice beams here earlier on, it was just for practice, but the engineer has come back and said we're going to get rid of these joists. So we're going to have to select them all and delete them. So we're going to replace those with the floor slab instead. So if you bring your mouse across from left over to the top left corner to the bottom right corner, we'll just select all the objects here. So we're just going to go to filter. We only wanted to select the joists, so the secondary members. So go into filter and just make sure it's okay. So we don't want columns, we don't want framings, we don't want tags, or we don't want the walls. And we can just select, because the joists, the secondary ones are the ones we need. So click apply, and once your computer gets cuts up and stuff, we'll see it. So now we've all our basically internal joists between the grid lines. Again, we're not deleting the beams that are on the grid line, so these ones here, it's just the internal floor ones. So again, secondary structural framing, secondary, or joists, whatever yours are called. So just we'll click OK. Once we have them all selected, we're going to hit the delete key. So if that warning come up down here, pinned objects were not deleted, delete them, unpin them first. So you see all these little pins, that means they're just kept in place. So if we go up onto our tab here, there's a little icon here for unpinning, so we'll just click that while they're all selected. Again, let your computer do it, it might take a few seconds. So pins have been deleted. So now we'll just make sure our selection is still there. So we still have our structural framing, so hit delete. And now because those systems aren't there, so now we have all our clear bays. So again, we're going to do these on different floors. That's probably it's showing the ones in different levels, but we'll worry about that later. So again, now we're going to go to our slab. Use our rectangle option, and again, like before, just go from the grid line, center of the grid line, from that corner, all the way down. You might have to zoom in because there's probably a lot going on at the moment, so just make sure you get the right points. Press out, hit OK, and once your computer catches up on itself, if you like the walls that go up to this floor to attach to its bottom. So you can click the option if it says to attach, just click on the attach. So here we have our floor now. So we'll just go to our 3D view and have a look. So now we got our floor slab along there too. So we'll do the same again for the next one up. So we go to our second floor. We'll come in here, we'll just select all of our joists, so select everything. A little bit faster now, so hopefully we're getting the hang of what we need. So we just want to make sure we just have the secondary framing. click apply. Click OK. And remember, they're all pinned in place. That means they got pinned in place so we can't move them. So we just want to unpin them. And then once they're unpinned, we can just hit the delete key. And that'll get rid of all of those joists. So just hit escape a couple times to make sure we have nothing else going on. So we're going to put in our last slab. So go for structure, click slab, foundation slab here. And again, we're going to use the boundary, rectangular boundary option. Go up to the top, find our center grid line point here, and go all the way down to the bottom right hand corner. Just make sure you get the right one. And then click our green tick up here just to make sure it's finished. And we shall check our 3D view once my computer has done what it's supposed to, and we can attach here, that's okay. For this example, it doesn't matter if they're attached or not, but we'll just leave it. Okay, so now we can check our 3D view and see do we have a couple of nice floors. So here we go. That's quite exactly what we want to be looking at. So we have our ground floor, first floor, and our second floor. And we're not going to do the roof at the moment, so we'll do that. That'll be another thing to do. And again, probably should have said you want to make sure that the floor slab was the 150mm slab. I had mine loaded by default, so I kept on doing it each time. But just go back and make sure that the slabs you put on were the 150mm slab that we duplicated. If not, just delete the floor and just redo the steps again using the 150mm slab. But hopefully, by default, it just kept the same one as we were using the whole time. Let me see, so we've done the first floor, we've done the second floor, and that's it. So okay, so that's our basic, this is this tutorial done, that's our slabs done. So just a quick recap on everything that we did in these few videos. So we did our grid lines, we did our levels at the very start, then we put in our, we put in our columns, we put in our beam systems, we edited the size of the beams after putting them in. And we changed from steel to concrete, we edited the types, we duplicated everything, all the different models that we needed. We put in our shear walls at each level, we put in our foundations at each column, and our foundations on each wall, and then we finally put our floor slabs in. So hopefully your model looks like this. This is the end product of our tutorial 2. And hopefully you need to have this model complete for the next class, because we are going to be using this model. We're going to continue editing on this model, so we're not starting from scratch each time. So make sure you have this one done before we start tutorial 3. And again, if there's any issues, just send me an email, ask me a question, or you can just go back and watch the videos if you're not in the class with me. Hopefully this was clear enough, and yes, we'll see you in the next video.